Retro.
Hello there. This is James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and whenever I'm in this part of the galaxy, I listen to Dennis and Jay on Podcast Stardust. Makes flying a little more tolerable. Don't tell Anakin.
This is Podcast Stardust
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
with Dennis Keithley and Jay Krebs.
Your behavior is continually unexpected.
The galaxy source for Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Merry Christmas and welcome to Podcast Stardust. This is the fully armed and operational podcast dedicated to Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion. I'm Dennis Keithley.
And I'm Jolly J. Krebs.
Ooh, nice. We're celebrating Christmas by distributing some gifts to some Star Wars characters. But before we get into the holiday festivities, Jay, where can we be found around the internet?
Oh, I'm so glad to be here around this open fire and celebrating today. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Podcast Stardust, and it'd be the greatest gift of all if you would follow us on over there.
Perfect. So the dishes aligned, the stockings are hung from the chimney with care, the signal is boosted to maximum output, the shield is down. We are now broadcasting to the galaxy. This is our Star Wars Christmas celebration. We're not calling it Life Day. That was weeks ago. So yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates. And if you don't, then thanks for sticking around and joining us as we just kind of get into some festive fun. As has become tradition on this show at this time of year, we pick out some random Star Wars characters from a random name generator, and we decide what to give them for Christmas. And this year, I am throwing a little bit of a curveball at you, Jay.
A snowball curveball?
There you go. I have gone ahead and generated a whole bunch of people to get gifts from other Star Wars characters.
Ooh.
And so we are going to decide what these Star Wars characters would give each other under the Secret Santa tree. So
I like that.
let's see what happens. Our first one up is Wat Tambor has drawn Yaddle for his secret as a Secret Santa. So what kind of thing do we think Wat Tambor would get Yaddle?
Oh my goodness. Well, Wat Tambor being part of the banking clan, he worked with Count Dooku and trying to be all the separatist sorts of things for Yaddle. I would say, maybe a new lightsaber-proof Beskar infused robe.
Mm-hmm. I like to think Watt's not exactly someone who I think is generous when it comes down to this. And ultimately, he's going to probably do something that's like a little self-serving. And he's also backing the separatists, which are just getting ready to go to war with the Jedi and the Republic at this point. So who knows? Maybe he did something, gave a Yaddle something that she could add to her lightsaber that made it like a little less effective in her duel against Dooku. So,
So trying to sabotage her more than anything else.
yeah, he's not exactly in the gift-giving mood, I think.
That's true.
Okay. Well, let's see who's up next in our tree. Okay. Oh, I like this one. So Malakili has snuck up to the tree and placed a gift under it for Jason Syndulla.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm going to let you go first on this one since I went first last time.
I think this one's pretty easy. Malakili is the Beastmaster from Jabba's palace, and of course trained the Rancor, and we got to read all about him. And from a certain point of view this year, I'm thinking he's giving Jason a pet, no matter how much Hera doesn't like it. So maybe a Nexu cub.
Oh my goodness. Woo! That would really wreak havoc on the ghost, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
But you were right along the same lines as I was. I was thinking pet related or something like that. But, maybe something a little bit more subdued, like a Loth cat, something that Jason could play with a little bit more. Or maybe he would actually give Jason a few passes for some free Rancor rides.
Possible. I just see Malakili not going anything with that tame as a Lothcat. After all, he wanted to feed a Jedi to his Rancor, so
This is true.
ooh, that could be bad for Jason too, since he has force
Oh
powers.
no. Yes. Dun, dun,
Okay.
dun.
So the next one we have is Princess Leia has a gift for Finn.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, gosh, this could go a lot of different ways. I mean, obviously, Princess Leia was able to meet Finn and, kind of console him in a way as far as where Rey was. So, maybe he would get him a little locket with a picture of him and Rey, side by side, so that he could always keep Rey, his best friend, close to his heart.
Okay. I like that. I'm also thinking in The Force Awakens, a conversation they have where gives him some praise for being brave and abandoning the First Order. And so something that would really welcome him into the Resistance. And we know he was still wearing his Stormtrooper shoes. That's how Han Solo figured out his story there. So I'm thinking a pair of Resistance issued boots to welcome
Nice.
into the Resistance and celebrate his defection from the First Order.
I like that. And maybe even a jacket just like Poe's. Although he got to keep Poe's jacket.
Yeah, slash in it and holes and everything. So, all right. So, here we go. Owen Lars unfortunately drew a Jedi. He has to come up with a gift for Quinlan Voss.
Oh boy. Well, you get to go first this time.
I'm thinking he's got to get Quinlan Voss a gift. And of course, like as I just pointed out, it's a Jedi. And of course, and we know that Owen is doing his best to keep Obi-Wan away from Luke. And I don't think he'd necessarily want any other Jedi coming around as well. So I'm thinking like tickets for somewhere, Naboo. Just get him as far away as possible and go on vacation, Quinlan. Don't come around here.
There you go. Well, I was kind of thinking something along those lines as well, as far as maybe a case to put his lightsaber hilt into so that he could, go incognito from one place to another in case, he didn't want anyone to know that he was a Jedi. And of course, Owen not wanting to be affiliated with any Jedi.
Okay. All right. Let's see who next gets to open a gift. So we have Zuckuss, the bounty hunter, putting something under the tree for Jedi Master Kit Fisto.
A thermal detonator. Dressed up as a Malo Run fruit, perhaps. No, yeah, they're definitely not a lot of love between the two of them. But maybe a little transmitter or something that he could use to communicate with. I don't know. That's kind of a tough one because those are two opposite ends of the spectrum there. But what are you thinking?
No, I'm with you. That is a tough one there. Zuckuss is a bounty hunter and a findsman, and so what would that type of person get for a Jedi? And to your point, more likely than not, they're going to spend their time trying to do away with said Jedi than they are going to be doing anything to benefit that Jedi. But in the spirit of the season, where does the Nautilans come from? Anselm? Gleanselm or something like that? What could Zuckuss go there and find that would be hard to get? And the answer is, I don't know, because I don't know much about that word other than Beckett wanted to go there and retire. So you can see I'm stalling for time.
No, you're doing very well. You're pulling all kinds of great pieces of information out. You're like Wikipedia over here, Dennis.
Yeah. And of course, he was partners with Forlom. So I guess he could get some help from him. And I don't know. I'm guessing after Order 6, maybe these two were involved in the hunt for a Jedi. And of course, we're dealing with time travel here. So maybe they brought him some sort of a memento from the Jedi Order that he found on one of his hunts. That's the best I can do.
Well, it'd be very nice of him.
Okay, so this one should be interesting. Chancellor Palpatine has a gift for Oppo Rencesis.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you get to go first this time.
Well, This is, of course, specifically Chancellor Palpatine and not Darth Sidious. And I think Palpatine would be wanting to make a good impression on the Jedi, and he would want to try and show off a little bit while he's at it. And I'm assuming this is sometime during the Clone Wars, or in the time that followed at least the Phantom Menace. So he is probably going to come up with some sort of an ornate polishing kit for Oppo's lightsaber as a way of, and he's going to have it engraved. Thank you for your service, Jedi Master Oppo Rancisis.
Oh, wow. I like that. And to your point, as far as this being Palpatine, but not Sidious, I think you're on the right track there. And as a senator of Naboo, he was very accustomed to a lot of more, higher end sorts of things. And so since Oppo Rancisis was also part of the High Republic era, perhaps he would get him some sort of a relic or an artifact from Coruscant, from that era, in terms of, something that maybe would speak to Oppo.
Yeah, I like that idea too. Okay, this one should be a little bit easier, but Greedo has a gift for her, who is, of course, the bartender at the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So maybe he would get her a specialty little place to put her tips into from one of his many travels as a bounty hunter.
I'm thinking Greedo is going to pay off his tab and call that a gift.
Oh,
Because that's just the type of guy he is.
yeah, I could see that, just taking one of his payoffs from a recent bounty hunting expedition and just saying, hey, we're even. There you go.
Yeah, I just don't see him exactly being the generous type when it comes to gifting, or particularly good at giving gifts. So
Trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
yeah. Well, it is the season, but still, people got to be true to themselves. All right, so we already dealt with Owen Lars. Now we got Klieg Lars, and he has a gift for Omega. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly he would do in this situation. I'm going to assume he's around for a while after the Clone Wars. And maybe he gives Omega a place to stay rent-free for a little bit, because she's on the run with the rest of the Bad Batch here. So seeking some refuge, getting a nice home-cooked meal from Beru, and an opportunity to celebrate the holidays with the Lars family.
Aw, I really like that idea. That's really cool. I was thinking more along the lines of, being a moisture farmer and some of the things that, they're able to do there. And I just remember always with, even with Beru, when she was younger, she was constantly cooking and doing different kinds of things. So maybe he would get Beru to help him out and maybe make some specialty kinds of cookies for her, is what I was thinking. Like he would do it himself, but he would, get her to do that for him. Yeah. Since Owen and Beru were just starting to date, and she wants to make a good impression on him.
Yeah. Or maybe a jug of blue milk. Or
there you go.
Freshly harvested water from the moisture evaporator. So all kinds of ideas there. So okay, let's see who is next on our list here. So, all right, Moff Gideon has a gift for Mace Windu.
Oh, wow. I'm going to say, well, let's see. Moff Gideon is definitely not very nice to begin with, and he's all about himself once again. As you were saying, he's got those dark troopers. He's got a little bit of, well, it depends on what era of Moff Gideon we're talking about here too, as far as what he has access to. But, perhaps he could even hook Mace up with a different color kyber crystal somehow. Give him the one out of the Darksaber.
Well, yeah, I was actually kind of thinking along those lines as well, since, Gideon had the Darksaber and really relished it, that he's got an appreciation for lightsabers. So kind of like Palpatine giving Oppo Rancisis something, I think, that's along those lines. There's a lot of different ways I could see this going. Gideon's kind of full of himself, and he wanted midi-chlorians. So is he going to also kind of go that nefarious back route and get something for Mace Windu that would have Mace leaving his DNA all over it, so he can get and sample those midi-chlorians? Like a nice body of what do they call that? Nice bottle of wine from Alderaan.
Tonneray.
Tonneray, thank you. I knew it started with the T. So something like that, and then after Mace consumes it, he comes in and does the thing. Or what's he doing? I mean, offering to clone Mace and make him the next generation of Dark Trooper. So I could kind of see Moff Gideon being full of himself here and giving another one of these kind of selfish gifts when it all comes down to it.
Oh yeah, that's very creative. I like that. Stealing the midichlorians.
Okay, this one I'm really excited for. Dr. Aphra has got a gift for Babu Frick.
Oh, nice. You get to go first this time.
Yeah, so she is a galactic archaeologist. That's what she got her doctorate in, and she's been on a lot of adventures. She stole the program for 000 and put him into a protocol droid, and then also acquired BT-1, who is the murder astromech droid. So what better thing to get Babu Frick, who's a droid master, droid engineer, than some sort of a droid to do something with, or at least tools to work on a droid. This is a no-brainer, and I think she could find something from a abandoned temple, some sort of an ancient droid, and hand that over to him, and he would be giddy about that.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking, quite honestly. So I don't think I could do any better than that. But I'm trying to sit here and think maybe she could even go a step further and get him an all expenses paid trip to somewhere where he could work with someone, like Pelimoto, for example, and he could have a little stay with her for a while and they could work on some things together.
There you go. Okay. Well, it is Max Rebo's turn to give his gift, and it just happens to be for Dengar.
Oh boy. Wow. Well, Max Rebo is very musically inclined and very, very talented. And Dengar, of course, is our lovely bounty hunter that looks like he's wearing toilet paper all over his head. But he is also kind of, Boba Fett's friend, but / enemy at the same time.
Frenemy, yeah.
So yeah, exactly. But I think Max would maybe want to give something to Dengar to maybe spruce up the cockpit in his ship so that he could listen to, Max singing all the time and, kind of give him that cockpit vibes sort of thing. So I'm going to say that Max is going to give him a compilation of his latest and greatest hits for him to play in his ship. That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly along those lines. Max kind of came off a little as full of himself and also kind of clueless in some ways when we read that story from Phil Shostak from a certain point of view this year. And so I can see him thinking that a recording of him and his band doing something with Sice Noodles on vocals would just be like the best gift. And I'm sure he would autograph it as well, of course, with his foot.
There you go.
That's what they use. And hand that
neck
over.
on repeat.
Exactly. 16 different versions in 3 different languages or something. So
there you go. Perfect.
all right. So now we have Wedge Antilles coming up with a gift for Rey Skywalker. So
Oh, wow.
this, I think, could be really quite the moment because, of course, Wedge served with Luke, was good friends with Luke. They attacked the first Death Star together. They were there together at the end after Return of the Jedi. And, of course, Wedge showed up in the Millennium Falcon at the end of the Rise of Skywalker. So I'm thinking he's probably got some memento of his service with Luke from over the years that he could pass on to Rey, since, that was effectively her Jedi Master before Leia took over and might be helpful to her going forward. So, like I said, some sort of a memento about Luke Skywalker, I think is what the route he would go.
Oh yeah, you and I are both on the same wavelength because I was thinking the exact same thing because that's such a cool little link between the two of them to have Luke there, in kind of in the middle between both of their generations. But I could kind of see maybe with Nora too, the fact that Snap was Nora's mom and then Nora and Wedge were together, that there could be maybe a little bit of a a correlation there as well. And so I don't know, did Ray never met Snap though, did she? Like he was in and out before, they actually ever met. But that could be
Well,
kind of a cool thing too, to like
there was an
have like a
entire
family
year
dinner.
between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So we
Mhm.
may not have like an on-screen meeting, but they were like hiding out together. So yeah, it
Mhm.
was part of the Resistance. So I have a feeling that they knew who each other were. And
Yeah.
since Snap was such good friends with Poe. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting little outing, family dinner to talk about all their combined histories with Luke.
Okay. So up next we have Darth Maul presenting a gift to Ki Adimundi, our cone-headed
Darth
Jedi Master.
Maul.
Yeah.
Yes, Darth Maul. And Ki-Adi-Mundi was the only Jedi that was allowed to marry because his species was so decimated at the time. At least that's what it said in Legends. I don't know if that's actually canon.
Right.
But let's see. Well, Darth Maul's been around the block quite a bit. And so I could kind of, see him giving him a hole right in his chest. But,
Mhm.
then again, there's a lot of things about Maul that are very, very surprising. But I think he would probably give him a ring. So not the kind of ring that he wears, but the kind that goes on the outside of his Jedi Temple quarters. So that way he could see exactly where Obi-Wan Kenobi was at any given time, if he was around his area or not, so that he could, find Obi-Wan.
So
That's the best I got, Dennis.
no worries. Yeah, Maul doesn't strike me as extremely generous, and of course he's very high on himself. And we've talked about in the recent past some of his exploits with how badly he wanted to fight Jedi before he got the opportunity to in the Phantom Menace. So I'm thinking this could go a couple of different ways. One, he could give Ki-Adi-Mundi some sort of instructional manual as a kind of backhanded gift of you're good, but you're not as good as me at saber fighting. So here you go. Number two, it could be an invitation for fine dining somewhere in the hopes of simply luring him into a back alley where he could actually fight him. Or three, it could be another way of attempting to convince Ki-Adi-Mundi that he's inferior to Maul and that he should join him as a secret apprentice, because that's what he seemed to do with like half the Jedi he meant. So yeah, whatever gift he's going to give Ki-Adi-Mundi, it's going to have some sort of a nefarious purpose behind it.
For sure.
All right, we've got time for one or two more here. Okay, so Cal Kestis has a gift for Kira, of all people. So I'm going on this one here. And of course, Cal was the Jedi Padawan that escaped with Tarpal during Order 66, and then was a scrapper on Braca for a while. We got to meet him in Jedi Fallen Order, and then his further adventures in Jedi Survivor. And then Kira was an orphan on Corellia and part of the she was a scrum rat, part of the White Worms, working for Lady Proxima. And then she went on to kind of rise to the ranks in Crimson Dawn and eventually take it over. So what would Cal give someone like Kira? And I guess it largely depends on when this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But in a sense, he's an orphan and she's an orphan.
Mm-hmm.
So, hell, and I know she was always complaining about her clothes. And I'm thinking in the most what was the tie-in novel, young adult, Most Wanted or something like that. So he's got a new clean shirt for her, and that's what I'm going with, because he's the sincere type, and he wouldn't be giving any type of backhanded gifts.
Oh, yes, he is very sincere. And I was kind of along the same lines as you, but I was thinking more along the lines of Cal being a scrapper, and then, as you mentioned, with Kira just kind of being a scrum rat and sort of scavenging and scavenging for anything that she could, and that, maybe Cal found something along the lines of a beautiful piece of jewelry for her, in one of his travels that Kira could really appreciate.
Okay. Last one. Aayla Secura has a gift for Cassian Andor.
Oh, wow. Okay, very cool. Well, let's see. Ayla from Felucia, and she comes from a very, very beautiful, beautiful area. And of course, depending on when we're talking about, but perhaps she would gift him some coordinates that would allow him to pass through security breaches a little bit easier on his time of being a rebel. I have no idea. It's the most I could come up with.
Yeah, so I'm just brainstorming on this one, and of course, Ayla Secure is our blue-skinned Twi'lek that we first saw in the old Dark Horse comics, and then George Lucas liked her so much that he put her into Attack of the Clones, and she kind of had the, in a way, she's like one of the most fashionable Jedi out there. She didn't wear the full set of robes and stuff like that. So I'm thinking whatever gift she's going to give to Cassian, it's going to be something fashionable. And of course, Cassian's now on the run, between the time of the Andor series and Rogue One. We're dealing with a limited amount of time that she could actually do it. And this is assuming that she somehow survived, which didn't seem likely based on Attack of the Clones. So what kind of, gloves. Cassian was talking about his gloves when we first saw him in Rogue One. That's where he had his information. So she's giving him some sort of fashionable type of gloves that he can hide his information in and then use to trick stupid stormtroopers that fell for that in Rogue One. So
there you go. Perfect.
And that is Christmas Podcast Stardust style.
With a bow on top.
That's fun. It's
fun.
kind of fun to think about these characters. In the past, we've just picked out a random character and decided what we would give them. But now trying to add the twist on what any of these random characters would give each other is kind of a fun way to go about this.
It is. Yeah. And I like the fact that it really tests our knowledge of, oh, okay, well, this character is this and this character is that, and where are they from and how does this all interconnect? So it's a fun little brain racking kind of a thing.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, then, thank you all for joining us for this Christmas celebration here on Podcast Stardust. We hope you've enjoyed it and it brought a little bit of joy to your holiday for celebrating. And if you did, then make sure you hit subscribe to Podcast Stardust. And when this time rolls around next year, you can get the next version of this. And got a little something in store for New Year's, which we'll be getting to in just a week. So, but with that, I'd just like to remind you that you can find all episodes of the podcast over on retrozap.com, which is home to several other great podcasts worth your attention and that cover everything from the MCU and DC to Dune and Star Trek. And as always, we greatly appreciate your 5-star ratings and reviews on whatever podcatcher it is that you use, especially if that's Apple Podcasts. And please don't forget to share the show and your favorite episodes on social media with your friends. Speaking of which, Jay, remind everybody what those social media contacts and our other homes on the internet are.
You got it, Dennis. We are very easily found on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Podcast Stardust. And we do have a Pinterest page with lots and lots of fun boards. And there's some fun Christmassy ideas over there as well. But seeing how today is Christmas, you can always bank them up for next year. But we also have a YouTube channel that does have all of our past episodes as well as some unboxing videos. And there's some good conversation going on over there. So head over, like, and subscribe. And we also have a Discord room on the RetroZap Discord server. So as Dennis was just mentioning, there's tons of wonderful things going on with RetroZap. We have lots of shows and they all have their own rooms. And there's also some fun dedicated other rooms to some pop culture kinds of things. So if you want to get in on that, head to our show page, click on our community tab, and you are there. And if you'd like to support the show by picking something up over on TeePublic, we have 7 different show logo designs available on all kinds of things from home goods and apparel and pretty much everything in between. So that's teepublic.com/user/podcast stardust. So Dennis, you got anything else going on with other podcast appearances, or you want to update everybody on what they can find on your podcast Warp Trails?
Yeah, haven't really been anywhere else recently. And of course, Warp Trails is dormant at the moment. That is the Star Trek podcast that I host with my wife, but we focus on all the new content coming out on Paramount Plus. And since there hasn't been any Star Trek content for the past few weeks, we haven't been recording any episodes, and we may not get to that again until April when season 5 of Discovery commences. But if you want to hear what we had to say about previous seasons of Discovery, Lower Decks, Picard, and Strange New Worlds, then head to retrozap.com and you can find our entire catalog. Jay, it's been a very busy year for you in the world of cosplay. So what have you got going on now?
All right. Yes, indeed it has. And I'm just wrapping up 2023 with a couple of highlight reels and whatnot. And you can find those over on j.snips cosplay, where you can catch me as Hera from both Rebels and the Ahsoka series, Ahsoka herself from the Clone Wars, and the Fourth Sister from the Kenobi series, as well as some other things such as Leia from Endor, Return of the Jedi, and hard at work on my original concept Mandalorian that I will be premiering in 2024. So again, check that out at j.snips cosplay.
Okay, coming up on the show this Wednesday, we are doing our discussion and review of The High Republic, Eye of Darkness by George Mann. And then on Friday, we'll get to whatever Star Wars news there happens to be to end the year. I'm guessing it's not going to be much, so we'll find out. But with that, thanks for listening to episode 668 of Podcast Stardust, everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a great rest of your week. And until next time, may the Force be with you.